We have spent quite some time on retrieving all the records, and we have also seen how to add a record. Let me show you quickly right now how to update a record or how to delete a record. We will update the record with book ID 1002. Let me switch back to the code here, and I will create a new method. I will call that update book. Let me create that and comment out the get book. When we have to update anything, we first need to retrieve that record from the DB context. So let me copy the try catch block that we have. That way we can track exception. I'll add a debugging point here, and I want to retrieve one book. I want to retrieve based on the ID, so I can directly use the find method. Now when we retrieve any record from Entity Framework Core, Entity Framework Core is always keeping a track of that. So the books that is being retrieved here, it is being tracked. If we update something on the books like books.isbn, if I set that to 777, and then on the context, if I call save changes, it will automatically update that book because this book that is retrieved is already tracked by EF Core. Let me see that in action. Let me run the application here, and we hit our debugging point. Let me press F10. We retrieve the book here, and we update the 777. If we take a look at the query here, nothing is executed. And let me switch to the database. We still have the 1002. We added 1003 in the last video with 999. If we go back, right here we did that while sorting. So I did not rerun the query, but if you see for 1002 the ISBN is something different. Now if I go back and if I press F10 here, save changes was executed, and if you notice in the logs here, we have the execution to update the ISBN. If I go back here, and you see the ISBN is automatically updated. So EF Core always keeps a track of the record that is being retrieved. And to update anything, we just have to update the record and call the method save changes. It is pretty straightforward. Now that is one way of updating the record. As we progress with the course, I will dive into this much deeper, how EF Core tracks everything, what if we want to disable that tracking, and much more. But I wanted to give you a brief idea of how the update works with Entity Framework Core. To walk you again, we will retrieve the record, update all the properties that we want, and then we need to call save changes. Before I end the video, I want to show you one more scenario. Let me add a where condition, and I'll say where u goes to u.publisher. Publisher ID is equal to 1. If we go back here, we have 4 publisher. Let me update price of all of them where the publisher is 1. We have the complete books here. We can have a for each variable book in books. And we want to update book.price is equal to 55.55. Let me see what happens this time. We hit our breakpoint here. Let me minimize that so we can see the logs as well. And let me press F10. It executes the select statement, updates the price for all of them. And once it updates them, we are hitting save changes. If we examine the logs here, you can see 4 update statements were executed. If we see the database here, it updates all the price to 55 where publisher ID was 1. So even when we had to update multiple records, EF Core was able to track all the changes, and on save changes, it updated them correctly. So that gives you a brief idea of how update works in EF Core.